sinners, and saints. Dust off those horns and halos. It's time for Alan After Dark.
Some days things happen that really do bring you back down to earth, ground you in a way that humbles you and reminds you of where you have been and where you could be. One of my best friends died nearly 9 years ago. He was very young, in my opinion. Of course, there's no perfect age for death, but he died way too young. And it was a Facebook memory that reminded me today, the day that I'm recording this, was his birthday. I felt enormous guilt for forgetting that it was his birthday. Now, I know he wouldn't care about that, and I don't care about birthdays either. I have trouble remembering my own birthday, much less anyone else's. But there's always this thing when it comes to something like this, where you've lost a person and you want to hang on to the memories you have. And I do. Just because I forgot the date shouldn't make me feel the way I'm feeling, but that's just part of being human, isn't it? I feel guilty for not remembering it. I don't know if it's some sort of like survivor's guilt or something, and I don't know if you all have felt that, but it's also like when you lose someone that you cared deeply for, especially right after it happens, like the first year or two in particular, I would feel guilty for just having a good time and having fun. It felt like I was almost disrespecting him for enjoying myself, even though I know that he would have never wanted me just to wallow in sadness and this depression over losing him, missing him. But we're human and we feel what we feel. Whether you can put a right or a wrong on people's feelings, I don't know. I don't think you can define feelings in any specific way. Sure, there's a Webster's dictionary definition for feelings, but none of us feel the same way. And who is to say if there is a right way or a wrong way to feel? I guess I'm almost feeling like remorse as well. And I guess that is a survivor's guilt, where I do think about all the people that I've lost in my life and wish that they were still here and that we were having a good time and enjoying life. But I guess that's how we can really define what life is. It's such a short amount of time. And even if you live to be 100, that's still like the blink of an eye when it comes to the universe and time. I mean, the billions of years, and we get this little bitty amount of time, and most of us don't even get that. At best, 80 years, maybe. And at worst, you could be just a child and die and never get the chance to live a full life. And maybe that's it too, I guess. Just the fact that we feel bad for those who have passed because they don't get to enjoy even the simplest things that we get to enjoy as living human beings. I really do miss him. I guess it's the fact that we didn't get to have more time to spend together as brothers, as best friends. He was someone special. I think what gets me about him is the way he perceived himself. He wanted everyone to love him, or at least like him. And he would go above and beyond whatever effort it took in his mind to make someone like him. I always felt like he never thought that just being himself was enough to be friends with someone. There was always something wrong with him in his mind that made him doubt that any of us could be really good friends with him because he could never do enough to earn our friendship. And I felt bad for him on that. In fact, at one time I did scold him. We were out having a good time. There was a group of us together. I believe it was the 4th of July. And we were in a downtown bar just having a blast. And we decided that we were going to go to another bar. And I was like, well, let me go get my tab and let me close it out. And I get up to the bartender and she says, oh, the gentleman over there, he took care of your tab. And I scolded him afterwards. I said, you don't have to do that. I don't want you doing that. I want you to understand that I don't hang out with you because you pick up the tab every time. In fact, it kind of makes me angry that you feel like you can't be that you're not good enough to be a friend with or without picking up a tab. I wish I could have impressed upon him that fact before he passed. But he had to believe it himself, and it was hard to convince him that he was worthy of friendship, of love. That really, to this day, hurts. What was it in the movie Brokeback Mountain where Jack says, there's never enough time, never enough? I get what that means, especially when you don't have everything settled in your life. But how could you ever have it settled? There's always things that are going to be unfinished. And we can only do what we can do, right? We just do the best we can with our time and our communication and hope for the best. I hate how that sounds, but I don't know right now a better way to put it. But he, I think, was putting himself in financial trouble with all this picking up the tab for 5 or 6 or 7 people, buying rounds of shots all the time. He didn't really care about that until he had to care about it. And that always made me worry too. And we had long talks about what he should and shouldn't do and how he should handle it. But I hope at the end of his life that there were enough good people and people that he knew loved him that might have made a difference. I just feel so bad the way it all ended. This all kind of points to everyone's favorite, low self-esteem. And I always got a sense of where his low self-esteem came from. I won't go into all of that now, but we've all been in a relationship that wasn't very supportive, wasn't very healthy, haven't we? Where a person can just push all of your buttons and trigger that fear, that insecurity, just that little bit of a whisper in your ear that you're not good enough and that when you look in the mirror, you should hate what you see. I think that no matter how much positive reinforcement some people have, they tend to cling to that negative person because they have an emotional attachment to that person and they give that person's opinion more credence, more credibility. It could be just that a lot of us are inclined to believe the negative things about us. Oh, you're fat. Oh, you're ugly. You're too old. You're all these things. And if you're like me, you're like, well, I already know those things. But hearing it from other people, it can reinforce that negativity. It can create that barrier, that wall we all need to break through. We shouldn't let things like that interfere with our sense of freedom. It shouldn't make you afraid to hang out with guys. It shouldn't make you afraid to speak your mind. It shouldn't make you afraid to have as much confidence as the sexiest guy in the world that you know. We have every right to be as free and confident as anybody else. And it is a terrible thing that people can manipulate us into believing bad things about us for the simple purpose of controlling us. That's one of my biggest issues I've had in my relationships. On a couple of occasions, I found myself sacrificing myself just to please this other person. I was always trying to make them happy, not understanding that I was making myself unhappy. And if there's anything I could say to my friend who is gone now for 9 years, it would be that I'm sorry that I could not convince you that you were a good person. You did a damn good job living your life the best way you knew how. But I always hope that you knew that I respected you and I loved you as much as I could any person. And I hope just that knowledge and sending it out there to the world will help me to continue to heal and look back on all of our memories with a smile and maybe fewer tears as time goes by. But damn it, I really do miss you. Here we are smack dab in the middle of Pride Month, and I hope all of you out there are enjoying Pride and expressing yourself, loving your brothers and sisters in our community. Just being yourself is difficult in this world. I always explain to people in a very simple way. I always tell straight people, okay, picture your life, all the problems you have, everything that you have to do. Now flip it and just be a gay person on top of it. Then you'll understand a little bit better the challenges that we face. And we're facing more and more now than we have in quite a while. I think that's the part that people don't really understand about gay people, is that we are living a regular life. We have all the same problems and issues that everybody else does. We have to pay our utilities. We have to pay rent or our mortgage. We have to go buy groceries. We have to do our laundry. All these things are standard across the board unless you're super rich and you have servants do it for you. You have maids and bodyguards and things like that. Most of us aren't that lucky. So we have to live a regular life on top of just being gay. The biggest difference there on that level is the fact that a lot of places you can be fired for being gay. You can't be fired for being heterosexual. That right there alone can keep people in the closet because you're always afraid of losing your job. And who can survive if they don't have a job? You have to be able to bring money in to cover the bills and your basic needs, your survival. And I've always wondered, there are several organizations in our community that do help take care of runaway teenagers who have been abandoned by their families because they're gay or trans or bi or asexual. I mean, I think there's just some people, there's in some families, especially in the Bible Belt, where anything different than having children with a woman, you're going to be condemned. I think they frown upon adult men being single, even more than they would adult women, which I guess that's kind of unusual. But what happens is you're living down here in Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, wherever in the Bible Belt. It's still okay to be single if you're a guy in your 20s, but you get to those 30s and people start looking at you a little bit different. They start maybe a little bit of whispering about what's wrong with him. Why hasn't he got a bride yet? And if you get to your 40s, it's on like Donkey Kong. I'm telling you, they're going to be out there saying he must be a homo. Because if he was normal, and that's their word, not mine, he would already have a wife and kids. So there's got to be something about him. He must be a pole smoker. And that's why you see, especially in areas like this, a lot of gay men marrying women, using them as a beard, a disguise, just to save themselves from the hassle and the aggravation of the gossip mongers, the rumors and everything. You just put it to rest, and then you just sneak out on the side and hook up with guys whenever you want to. It doesn't lead to a happy life, but it takes the pressure off from society and the culture. Even though if they just looked at themselves and stopped worrying about everybody else, we wouldn't have these issues, right? You know, the old saying about those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. That couldn't be more perfect than describing people here in the South, because they sure as hell do love to throw stones, and every damn one of them lives in a glass house. But I've told you this before too. If you can get gossip and rumors going on about someone else, they're not going on about you. It's a way to deflect all the rumors and gossip about you. Somebody else is in the firing line for the gossip and the rumor mongering in town. You might have a reprieve for just a little while. Bless your hearts and their hearts. You know, all those who judge like that, they want us to believe that they're perfect. And we all know that they're not. The last time I was at a church, I don't recall meeting one single person that was perfect in that building. Most of them were backstabbing, lying hypocrites who were in the same game as everybody else, trying to deflect any rumors or gossip about them by spreading it about someone else. Yeah, that's very Christian-like, isn't it? A little confession here, sinners and saints. I'm going to be honest. I think this episode probably reflects it anyway. But I have to just say that I am depressed. I am not mentally 100%. Not that I ever am at that level. Most of us aren't usually. I think this is an area that we need to explore more as well. We still have the stereotypes of what a man is, and a man is not supposed to ever admit that they are down in the dumps, that they are depressed, that they are sad or hurting. And I think that's why so many men commit suicide, because they are forced to bottle it all up. They can't just be honest and say, I'm hurting today. I need just a shoulder to lean on or even cry on. It's awful that we live in that society, but we're guilty as well. Men, we are reinforcing it. We are saying that this is what a man is, and a man's tough and badass and can beat the Terminator with one hand tied behind his back. And that's bullshit. You know, you saw that whole thing, maybe it was on Fox News, where they were going around asking Republicans in Congress, do they use a straw to drink from? And our own here in Tennessee, what's his name, fucking Burchett, was like, no, that's what my women in my family do. I don't drink from a straw. And I was just screaming at the television screen, like, bitch, well, how do you drink a milkshake, motherfucker? Honestly. But things like that, really, drinking from a straw or not drinking from a straw defines how macho you are? Seriously? Goddamn. I mean, it's just fucking stupid. I think it behooves us as men to start knocking down these stereotypes, being honest and saying, maybe I need therapy. Maybe I need to talk to someone who's not directly invested in my life. And I can get just someone to listen to me without judgment, without any other incentives to affect my behavior. I don't know about you guys, but maybe it's part of the job. But my parents, for many, many years when I was living at home, tried to manipulate me into behaving a certain way. But that was, I've told you before, that was because they were afraid that they were going to be talked about. If they have a gay son, they're going to be viewed as failures too, even though the only input they had to my sexual orientation was the fact that I was born. It's genetic. It's not something that they did that made me turn this way or that way, but it does start from there. I honestly believe that. And if we can't be honest with ourselves and express ourselves that we are struggling, I think that what does happen is that many men make that decision that's fatal, just to end it all. And I still do believe, with all the struggles and the heartbreak and the anxiety, that life is still a gift. It is worth living and enjoying, meeting people and making friends and having a good time. Those are all valuable components and the most important part of life. I know I don't have to keep saying that life is short. We all know that already. And I really do believe that we are here on this earth to enjoy ourselves, to have a good life. I know that not everybody does, and a lot of people are struggling. But at the end of the day, I don't want my death to be the thing that defines me. I want my life to be what everyone will always remember. Whew, Lord, that was a heavy episode, wasn't it? And I thank you for listening to my unusual dark words this week. I hope you can take something from it and apply it to your life. That's what I really want. But I also want you to remember to have a good time, to enjoy life. And always remember to take life by the balls and be real. We'll see you soon.